Um, this is Chief Executor of Earth here to report on a few different topics and random pieces of wisdom, knowledge, and more. I want to start out by talking about my son. He's in occupational therapy and speech therapy now. He graduated from physical therapy, and we were talking today because I kind of observe her playing with him, and basically she was talking to me about because I see how she plays with him and how she plays with one toy at a time, one puzzle at a time. Use that as an example. And she hands him one piece of the puzzle at a time instead of getting all the pieces out. She hands it to him, and then when he puts the piece, she makes him finish the puzzle. And she puts her hand on each piece that he's already put in, so he can't take it out. And she'll hand him another piece so he can figure out where the second one goes. And she was because she said, it's one thing if you're doing exploring play and you give him all the pieces and let him play with it and explore it. She said, but it's really good to do more direct play where you control the pieces and hand him one piece so he doesn't have all the pieces and then he's scattering them and throwing them around. And she was just talking about how that's, obviously really good for the development. And it also creates the foundation for following directions instead of, because their minds are scattered. It's kind of like ADHD. And now they can't focus, but you can teach them focus. And she was just talking to, explaining things to me about, their child development. And I was like, wow, that really makes sense. Like I said, sometimes it's okay to let them, have all the pieces to the toys and play with them. But again, you still need to take that time to have that more direct play and make them not only play with something and finish out the puzzle or whatever, help them clean up. Don't allow them to go on to something else. Take them and walk them back to where the mess is and have them, clean up the pieces. And he does it. And it was just mind-blowing to me. And it got me really thinking, I feel like that could be part of where, again, I understand genetics plays a role, but I feel like that's another theory behind where ADHD comes from is some kids don't have that directed play. And part of it is because the stressful way of life, nobody has a lot of time to sit there and kind of understand what exploring versus direct play comes in. And it's like you just see his little mind just, expanding. Now not all the time, but sometimes he automatically picks up. And again, sometimes he's all over the place. He wants all of the toys or he wants all of the puzzles out. And you just take the puzzles that he wants out and you talk to them. Even if they can't understand you, obviously over time, the more you talk to them, the more they understand. And at first, he was very scattered. He wouldn't sit and play. But it's like each week you can see that growth in him. And again, this is this kind of stuff we should be learning about, not having to go to school to learn about this stuff. Because if more people understood the depth of life and how the mind, body, and soul work, we would have a lot more balanced adults out here instead of having, everything that's going on. Again, you shouldn't have to keep seeking out, experts to find out this stuff. I feel like they do hide back certain information so everybody's walking around clueless. So they create that market for the money for everybody needing to go to therapy and things like that. But again, if you take the time to do direct play and one-on-one time, and if they're not making eye contact with you, they'll take an object and put it by your eye. So you force them to look up. And like his speech therapist, she told me about this little game where you put the toy on top of your head and you go hachoo or make a funny noise and you make it fall down. But that creates that eye contact. My son, I couldn't get him to make eye contact with me, nothing. And I'm doing what little things that I learned along the way. But after talking to them, it was like the universe put the right team together, because I have learned so much more about the mind, and I'm like, wow. Like, I thought I knew about child development, from the class I took and just through life experience, but it really hit me how important those first 5 years of their life, and how they're like sponges, and how mind development is. And the lesson of the day is basically, either we spend the time meeting a child's emotional and developmental needs, or we get to spend more time struggling with the behaviors that come later with their needs not being met. Which would you prefer? Again, I'm grateful he's in First Steps program. And I'm glad that things like that do exist. Again, so I can learn more. But again, I just feel like it shouldn't take such a tragedy for us to understand these things. This is education. This is the things that we should be teaching. So as the child grows up, they know about themselves. And just in general, people understand how it works without having to seek outside sources so much. Again, they want everything stripped of your sense of self, so you constantly have to seek outside resources or experts. To me, that's not right. By the time you're 18, you should have a pretty good understanding of life, instead of waiting until you're 60 to 70. That's bullshit to me. That's another reason why I'm here, teaching everything that I'm learning to pay it forward. I'm all about paying it forward. Wanted to jump to, because I can dive into more about child development and stuff. But I feel like that was just a really good thing for anybody else struggling out there with their kids. Again, he's not even two. So of course it's going to be the typical throwing the toys and this and that. But this is what you do. You teach them to, and some things I kind of forgot because I had kids 10 years apart. I do remember my daughter, she was 1, cleaning up her messes. I had her doing, I was able to sit down with her to do certain things. But again, I still didn't kind of have a clue on what I was doing. I did the best I could with the tools I had at the time. And so I feel like, if some women are waiting until they're older to have kids, that's maturity. I feel like a part of the problem is there was so much pressure to get married at 19, and it's like at 19 you don't really know shit. It's like, no wonder why there's so many lost souls. Not being funny, like, that's sad. There was so much pressure to get married, and if you didn't get married by this age, you weren't nothing. That's why I said, like, that work harder mentality, it's canceled, cut. It's the end to your movie. Anyway, I'm going to jump to this post I saw about higher self versus ego. From a spiritual person. I thought, oh, okay, and like, I'm not trying to say anything bad, because this post highlights the, why it's important to just not take information that you're learning and run with it. I used to do that too. This is just a very good example of what I mean, why life has so much more depth than people realize. When I first started out, I didn't realize what ego was. I thought ego was bad. We were taught ego is bad, and but ego is your confidence, which, okay, the beginning of her post kind of sounded cool. She's talking about the higher self and this and that, but I wasn't really reading too much. I was kind of skimming, because this is kind of what happens when I read stuff. My spirit takes me right to the falsehood in these posts. And she said, silence the ego and allow your high self to walk through and guide you. It wants the best for you, which is true. Except you are not supposed to silence your ego. Your ego is your confidence, which your confidence is tied to your instincts. I mean, like I said, it's all connected. You're not supposed to silence your ego. If you silence your ego, you're not going to have any confidence, because your ego is tied to your higher self. Like I said, it's all connected. Then she goes on to say, true self isn't the ego. True self is high spirit that uses the body to further its purpose, which is mostly true. But like I said, part of your true self is your ego, because your ego really is tied to your confidence. If you don't have any ego, you don't have any confidence. That's where the deflated ego comes in, and you seek the outside validation. Like, it's just very confusing information. True self is high spirit, which is true, that uses the body to further its purpose. True. When we are ran by ego, our high self is desperate to get out and take control. Not true. Because again, your ego is tied to your higher self. They're all, your spirit, goes into the body and the wound and things like that. Like I said, it's all tied together. Lost my place. Your ego believes you are separate as an individual, which is true, but you are separate as an individual. Everybody is an individual. That's where the personality comes in and all of that. High self knows it's part of a larger purpose that uses the body and senses to further the mission, which is true. So I was, kind of with her. But like I said, when she talks about silencing the ego, that's where I talk about that half-truth. Truth is, this is me. Ego is your confidence, which is what's needed to tap into your instincts, which lead to your higher power / higher self. It's all connected, kind of like how the body is all connected. Example, like I was talking about the nervous system and the brain and the muscle memory, which is connected back to your brain. You cannot have one without the other. The problem lies when your ego is inflated, creating superiority. Playing, that's where your mind plays tricks on you, thinking you're better than someone else, calling out looks on other people, just as an example. And the signs of a deflated ego is where the insecurities come in, and again, where your mind plays tricks on you. It applies again, creating image distortion and etc. That's where the balance comes in. Like I said, you can't have one without the other. That's, again, I once thought ego was bad. But it's like the egotistical ones, which is where that really high inflated ego, the hierarchy and all of that, that's where that comes in. And then, like I said, the deflated ego, you get too low, the lower vibration, you get too low. That's where you, again, mind plays tricks on you. Your brain's going to receive, false information. That's why it's very important to be in tune with yourself, so you know when you're too high or you're too low. And I'm not saying like it's a bad thing, because once, like I call the realm, which is just your thoughts, and I know not everybody has probably an internal monologue, But I'm just saying, like the anxiety, when you have anxiety, you feel high, kind of. And that's why I talk about the realm, like, those thoughts, how they're racing. And they, that's what I'm saying. Like, when you become one with yourself and you conscious, you start creating that conscious state of mind, you know, you'll really understand that you want to have an ego. Because that, again, your ego is your confidence. It's like I said, when it gets too high and you start placing yourself above another, or you start, getting too many desires, then it's a problem. That's where the consciousness comes in. And you're like, okay, whoa, let's come down. Be satisfied in the moment with what you have right now. And there's nothing wrong with wanting, a better life, but it's, the excessiveness, which can stem from your childhood, when your emotional and your developmental needs weren't met, leads to an undeveloped adult, obviously. I found this post right before I decided to get on here about inner child phrases. Thought this was a really good one. It's not your fault other people are in bad moods. You are worthy of everything good. It's okay to feel. You are not alone. I'm right here, because I am. You are a good person, and I love you. You are worth protecting. You are beautiful and loved. What happened to you isn't your fault, and this is mine. It's not your burden to put yourself in harm's way to save others. Elevate to save by focusing on your mission. Like I was putting myself in harm's way to save people and alert people, when I should have never done that. I should have let karma take over. But again, I was very sick and thought, I did know that the cops aren't going to do certain things, and just in general. And I'm like, it's my responsibility to do this without, again, I wasn't supposed to, higher power wasn't telling me to go undercover in the operation to put myself in a one-on-one situation with a known killer or predator. That's where that deflated ego. Like I said, I was all over the place. Yikes. But it's life experience, and like I said, data to collect to help somebody else. Because I know I'm not the only type of person like this. I've seen interviews. I watched some interviews on, it's called Soft Underbelly something. And there's other girls on there, like working girls, that said that they did the similar things. Like they saw something happen and they, protected somebody, and they let whoever it was do something to them because they were already messed up. And I'm like, damn, that's me too. Like, damn. That's why I'm like, community is unity. Shoot. And two, disassociation, kind of where you tune out. Disassociation is a part of defense to block out incoming pain, which is okay. That's good to protect yourself. Tune out from it sometimes. Just make sure you're able to tune back in so you won't stay in autopilot mode too long. I feel like that's kind of part of psychosis. Losing time. If you stay tuned out too long, it creates a shut-in feeling, trapping yourself inside, which leads to mental imprisonment. Yeah. And part of my little ender, I was created for war, which kills something off. I was created like art, because I also bring things to life. And when I talk about war, I just mean, battling daily life. I was created to do that. And like I said, my mission, as part of this war. You know, everybody's talking about World War III. I'm like, we're right in the middle of it, right? We've been in the middle of it. What do you mean? And to me, the world isn't only dangerous because of the evil, it's out of control, and it's a war zone because of the ones who won't do anything about it or choose to live in oblivion by fear avoidance. And just want to end it too with this little continuation of my stalker stories. Mr. 2018 was a safe haven, but I also met two incredibly really good people when I was in that situation by the fairgrounds, where I started out, where I met this group of individuals by the fairgrounds. I did meet some really cool people through this process that were earth angels too. And had that never happened, I never would have met these three. I actually met three really good people. Well, I don't really know about the other ones, but these specific three, I know beyond a shadow of a doubt, because one of the guys, I'll tell, I went to him because I was asking him questions, because basically they outcasted him, labeling him a snitch, and I went to him and I was asking him questions because I wanted to know what happened and to help piece the story together. He just told me, he's like, look, whatever you think they did, whatever you are asking me about, he's like, I've closed that chapter in my life. He's like, I really don't want to talk about it, and I had to respect that. But he said, whatever you think they did that shit, Kelly. Ooh, my bad. Oh well, people probably know my name. But he said, they did it. That's all you need to know. You are not crazy. He's like, because I was right there too. And he's like, and I understand, but I don't want to talk about it. Because he got framed for something that he didn't do. And I wish I would have known, because I would have been able to save him time in prison. But I was just told that he was a snitch. Master manipulators, defamation of character, guilty. That man was an earth angel. And like I said, I met a couple other ones, and the other reasons why I'm alive today too, because they kept telling me to stay away. And they're, one specifically told me, hey, if you think about doing some dumb shit, take me with you so I can at least be there to make sure you're cool. And I felt like he was like my big brother. I met another one. I forgot about him. He was a really cool one. He saved me a couple times too from this crazy monster and told me to stay the fuck away. But I couldn't. I could at the time, I'm saying. Because it's a lot of traumatizing shit, and I'm really not trying to traumatize everybody. I'm just telling my story so people understand that there is an evil out there that I'm fighting every single day, and I have fought, and I'm undefeated forever. I'm gonna learn archery. I've told you, I'm getting it all in. I'm gonna learn everything I need to know so I could be one defense. This is what I do too at school. Let's learn it. Let's learn it all. And it'll be like a one-stop shop, so you ain't gotta go bankrupt trying to learn things that you can learn yourself. Like I said, come together, community, barter each other's services. You know this, I know this. Let's learn it. Let's help each other out. Sometimes I'm having a low moment. I may not be able to see the light. Just knowing this having your safe environment is a tool. I'm not saying, constantly lean on other people, because that's unhealthy, but there's nothing wrong with being able to lean on each other sometimes. But again, you got to be your main source. Because again, at the end of every day, all of the power is within you and me. But I'm saying specifically, you are the power. And we are the weapons formed against evil that prospers. Evil is crumbling as we speak already. But the more truth is spread and the more people tell their story, instead of being silenced and thinking, you should be shame yourself and take your story to the grave. I believe in taking some things to the grave, but talking about abuse and some sick, twisted things, that's how the evil crumbles. And again, why Earth right now is kind of hell. And why, again, take a look at the planet. This is wrong. It's about 95% wrong. We need to make room for love. So, evil, you gotta go. It's time. Canceled, cut. It's the end to your movie. Like Nas said. It's another one of my good songs is Nas Made You Look in the remix. If I Ruled the World, love me some Nas. And I got the top spot and it will not stop. Okay? Again, peace, love, and respect leads to prosperity. Anything outside of that is getting canceled. Stop the bullshit. Time is coming. Feel it. I hope you feel it. Like I said earlier, more of my other videos. Truth will hit you so hard and your ass is going to come out across your jaw. I'm out. Good night. I got a lot of more good material for the next minute. And it just keeps coming. Like I said, some things pop up. I'm going to give credit where credit is due. Because I feel like there's also a lot of other people out there spreading some truth. And again, you don't necessarily think every thought. Majority of thoughts come to you. It's up to you to figure out what source it's coming from. But typically, if you feel empowered by it, I'm talking about like, I'm going to just keep it there because I'm doing too much. But sweet dreams, seal to protect with all your power. You do align. And if you're feeling darkness, low times, it hurts, call on protection, call for the light. Nothing wrong with that. Or come play my tapes. All right. Good night.